Hello and welcome to the Test Community Weekly Update. My name's Tim Burnett. I hope you're all safe and well. This is going to be a kind of shortish episode today, just to really keep you up to date with what's happening in the kind of events, podcasts, and information that's out there. Just give you a kind of summary of what I've seen that I think you should be really interested in. And then I'm going to answer a question someone asked me a couple of weeks ago about where they start with AI. So, obviously, I talk a lot about the use of AI within the organizations and the opportunities it presents, but they kind of wanted some fundamental guidance really as to where to start and what is a kind of safe route to take. So before we start on that, let's just remind everything you see in here. Today, you can go to the Community.Network website. You subscribe for free. We get a lovely email through once a week, which is jam-packed full of information, events, content that you will have missed, I guarantee you, during the course of your week. We're all very busy people. So let's have a look at some of the news that's come out. So there's been a warning about the slow introduction of digital GCSE examinations. This is kind of the AQA chief. This has kind of raised some concerns about it. It's one of those areas where I want us to be a little bit cautious, particularly in terms of GCSEs. I don't really want us just to replicate GCSEs in their entire structure. As someone who's very passionate about e-assessment, I see it as a multimodal activity covering all sorts of formats. Everyone has to be kind of ready. But, are we actually making the most out of digital assessment if we are just making that straight switch to junior exam series of exams and just putting them on screen? We're going to put a lot of pressure on the infrastructure. Other things there. So the report. Now, I mentioned this, I think it was last week, just off the back of my interview with Rita Bateson, just talking about MIT have put together a report looking at the AI of digital footprint. And it's something we all need to be very mindful of as we embrace and use more AI technology, as just how much of an impact it's going to have on the environment. Then we have content assessment and AI. Where are we now? So this is off the back of the Cambridge Horizons conference. They've put together some survey results just to kind of give you a snapshot as to where everyone's thinking we are with generative AI. So I strongly recommend you need to check that out. I'm not ready in full yet. I need to read it myself. So we've got Rory and his Strauss podcast. He's been interviewing Ben Hunter to talk about test security. There is also that webinar that I did a couple of weeks ago, or about a month or so ago now, just about looking at the security aspects and what's particular of interest. So I'd recommend you check that out if you want to have a look at it. Education duct tape, they're looking at bite-sized tech instructions, book creator, Padlet, notebook LM. I'm going to mention that one in a second in my starter. We've got implementing effective inclusion marking, feedback and assessment strategies. That's a webinar that's taking place. You'll notice I've got no events for next week. This is because there is only one event next week, and that is the e-assessments Association's International Conference and Awards, and that's taking place in London. We've got the AI Symposium on the Monday, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, we've got the actual conference with the awards dinner and reception on the Tuesday evening. So if you haven't signed up, you need to sign up to that as well. I'll make sure there's a link in the show notes. And then we've got a couple of other webinars. We've got Prometric webinar. Let's talk about workforce readiness. And then SPAS have got leveraging AI test development online to NCCA standards using Copilot. So this is NCCA. NCCA have recently published out some guidelines in terms of AI usage within qualifications. So I do strongly recommend you have a look at that. Now let's just nip into, I'm going to share my screen here. That one there. Okay, so this was a question that was asked to me. Where do I start with AI as an organization? Now, obviously, you've got to look at your policy within your organization. If you don't have an AI policy, then I do recommend you start to formulate that with and pull together kind of interested parties. You look at your IT security, look at your test development teams, look at whatever departments, pull together a core team. And I kind of recommend, my kind of structure is to look at this kind of idea of a red, green, and blue team. So red team's looking at the immediate impact and the issues relating to AI in your assessment operations and delivery operations. So let's say, for instance, if you have an exam which is got a word-based component to it, where people generated essay results, as we've seen within the higher education space, and there's a vast amount of cheating going on, or use of AI which you don't necessarily agree with. I saw a stat, I think it was like 88% of students said they're using AI as part of their assessment submissions. Then you do need to pull that team together to look at that. And the other team I would look at is a green team, looking at the positive opportunities there are around use of AI right here and right now, and then a blue team to look beyond. What are the kind of the coming trends and impacts that you need to kind of embrace. But the one platform I would recommend everyone kind of get started with is Notebook.LM. And Notebook.LM is super awesome. It's a Google-based platform. It's supported by Google 2.5 Pro, I think. In terms of the LLM. So you've got the large language models, which are driving a lot of these solutions, and this is a particular Google one. It is free to use. You can use it on free tier. They do put guarantees that they aren't going to use your data for training, but they also do ask that you don't put in there anything that's copyrighted. So you take that as you may, but I use it to pull together resources. So I've got guides that I've generated through research reports that I'll show you in a second with Google Gemini, and then I can feed that in, and you can generate out conversations, AI audio podcasts, these podcasts that you hear about. You can chat with them, but you can also type away and work with them there as well. So you can ask them questions based on the information that's been shared with you. You can pull together FAQ guides, briefing documents, timelines, all sorts of information. It's a brilliant place to put a load of content together and chat against that content and get factual-based responses back based on that content. Obviously, you need to be, it's only as good as the content you put in, but it's a great resource to do that. If you're a Microsoft-based organization, then obviously you can look and start to deploy Copilot as part of your organizations. There are different tiers. I find Microsoft stuff really complicated anyway, but Copilot is available as Copilot Pro, which is something you could sign up individually, and that's £19 a month. Your organization could sign up with Microsoft 365 Copilot, which I don't think has as many of the kind of features on there. Now, Copilot is built based on ChatGPT. So ChatGPT is a large language models, or they have a series of large language models, and Microsoft are big investors in ChatGPT. So they're feeding those large language models into their system. Whether or not Microsoft will break away and use their own large language models, who knows? They are a big organization. But if you are a heavily Microsoft-based organization, then it's worth doing. With Pro, you can do deep thinking, deep research-based activities, and deep research is one of the kind of the big kind of core opportunities that AI really presents a lot of organizations. So you might be using it for summarizing through your meetings, etc., through Teams or some of the other apps that are out there, Otter, Crisp, or the ones that are out there. You might be chatting with a large language model to summarize documents or generate documents. One thing you need to be mindful of with all that is effectively, if you're not paying for something, then the risk is higher in terms of that information being shared and used for training models. So if your organization is paying for Microsoft 365, then you've got guarantees, because there's more kind of data management and guarantees that are in there. Speak to your IT team, but you're kind of reassured a bit more that the data you put in isn't going to be trained with. Obviously, be very careful with sharing super sensitive data, personalized information, etc. But effectively work on the basis that if I'm not paying for something, then my data is being used elsewhere. And think about that in terms of lots of the tools and apps that are out there. So if you follow Product Hunt, they're pulling out apps all the time that are AI based. A lot of them are free, you can try them, but just be cautious about dumping in lots of personal and sensitive data. So you've got Copilot, you could use that. Talk to your IT team, get a license for that. They have got agentic functions. This is the idea that AI will go off and do tasks, etc. It works with Power Automate. I find it's a little bit complicated. I'm more of a Zapier fan for automation, which is a platform that I've used for quite a long time. But explore it within your organization. So you could certainly ask for a Copilot license. If you're a Google organization, then you could go down the route of using Google Gemini, which is their search engine. Now, this is an example I've got here is I'd ask for a research task. So it's normal kind of chat activity. So you can do a new chat, but you've got a high-risk and awarding bodies research report that came through, and it will go off and it will spend a good 5-10 minutes doing a research report for you. This is a great use of AI. So it kind of churns through these multiple research items, and you can do this now with ChatGPT, with Gemini. You can do it with Copilot if you've got the Pro version as well, and it is just a super useful way of making the most out of AI. Obviously, anything it generates, you need to check through, but just to give you an example of a research task that I did with ChatGPT, because you've got the different models that you've got the reasoning. So ChatGPT 4.0 is the kind of standard kind of chat-based immediate response coming back, and then when you look at reasoning models, these are kind of models that think deeper, then it will check its thinking around it. It will do some searches, it will do web searches, and it will analyze that information. So you've got 03, 04, etc. There as well. You've also got deep research within ChatGPT. Now I'm on this is the plus tier. If you're using it, you can use ChatGPT for free. If you're in an organization, let's say you've got 2 or 3 team members, I would strongly recommend, and you kind of wanted to explore stuff, you don't want to touch Microsoft products, then ChatGPT Teams would be a good move for you, and it will give you reassurance because you can turn off the training side of things, so it give you some data and confidence reassurance within your organization. You'll be able to create GPTs, which are these kind of many kind of pre-trained chattable units that within ChatGPT, so you can chat with it on a kind of persona based. You can I hear one regular example is a CEO level kind of guidance, so you can have a persona which you can bounce ideas off. You can have I have a marketing assistant, I have an assessment nerd. They're my GPTs that I've trained them on information, give them lots of information, I can then chat with them. So you could do that. So you could go down the ChatGPT route. It kind of depends on your organization, the size of you, and where your kind of main stack is. If you're a Google organization, then I would recommend going down the Gemini route. If you're a Microsoft organization, then you certainly explore Copilot, but I would also look at ChatGPT, because you can now actually hook in SharePoint resources and data within ChatGPT as well. So you can widen out your ability to use the tool to chat with your existing files and information. Obviously, be cautious about what it is you're sharing in there. So those are the kind of, I suppose, the 3 big options. If you are just going to go back to deep research stuff, so you can do deep research through Perplexity as well, but and you can do it with Grok, which is the Elon Musk's X AI, formerly Twitter, option. I don't find them as good. Perplexity is okay, but I think the accuracy is a bit poorer. This is Claude. Claude I use a lot. Now, Claude is kind of departing a little bit away from the, I suppose, the standard chat models. It's almost like they're becoming a specialized LLM in themselves. Very good for coding. Some of the best benchmarks received in terms of coding, and a lot of the tools and products that I use for coding creation, which I'll show you in a moment, use Claude as being their coding. Good APIs. They've just introduced a deep research tool in there, and you can also hook into some integrations as well. So if you want to kind of tap into other resources such as Google Drive, SharePoint, etc., you can do that now as well. So where I would see Claude is if you are a bit more of a developer, or I would say if you're a marketer who's doing a bit of automation and those kind of things. So if you're starting to if you dabble in that kind of coding side of things, and a technical creative, then I would definitely look at Claude as being an additional item within your tech stack. So those are the kind of, I suppose, the 4 main options you've got to do with. I wouldn't say Claude is an organizational tool. It's a tool that individuals within an organization may use for specific tasks. The other one I just want to kind of point out is you can go to AI Studio, where you can actually access a lot of the kind of Gemini stuff for free. But if you start uploading stuff into the studio, then it will train based on that. But what's got quite interesting, which is going, and I think Google was a little bit behind the curve in terms of the November 2022 kind of explosion of generative AI. But they at their recent conference, I/O conference, they're just announcing endless amounts of new features. But what I find is that those features are great, but they're great within the kind of Google stack. If you're a Google organization, there are some brilliant tools that are outside, but it may be that you're just if you're more of an advanced user of AI, then you want to leverage those. So some good, interesting ones that come out. So Stream with So let's say you've got to try and solve a problem. I was doing this with I had to learn Zero the other day because it's a new counting system to me. I had to kind of figure it out. If you turn on Zero, go to Stream on Google AI Studio and share screen, you can have a live conversation. It can see what you're working through and it can guide you through something. So let's say you're looking at some code, you're looking at a document, you're looking at a marketing campaign, something like that, and you want to, there's some kind of interactive element or any kind of moving stuff, then you can work alongside Stream and it will guide you in there as well. Sorry about this kind of cough. Excuse me. So that's a great little tool as well. There is also the fact that, and this is one that's going to be my kind of crux of my presentation talk at the e-assessment conference next week, is the ability to kind of no-code create apps. Now, you could go into Google AI, and I've created some AI Studio within Google, and you can click on the apps option, and you can chat away to build. So this is the idea of vibe-based coding. So if you have been someone who's always been kind of had some great ideas of what's something you want to build, but you've just not had the development skills to take it any further forward, then this is a kind of pretty awesome moment for you to kind of make the most out of these AI tools. So you can chat away. So I've asked it here to create me a bar chart. I've had a little bit of a conversation with it, and it's created me this bar chart. Now it's interesting. What we'll do, we'll look at kind of slight variations of this. But I've got this draggable bar chart. So if I was creating a bar chart question type for my exam, then this would be a good starting point to do that. Now it might be that I then take that to my developer and say this is the kind of thing I want, because before you'd have to sit down with the developer, you have a conversation, and they'll go off and develop it and come back with something that might not be quite what you wanted. But you could chat away with this and kind of get the foundation of it working, and it even moved the code on the point where they could actually pick that code up and potentially work with it. I've done the same thing here with Claude as well. So they've got artifacts within their system, and you can chat away and create items. So that's a kind of bar chart I've created there, and then other one that you can actually create code as well within ChatGPT. I don't do that as much here, but there's another one called Lovable, which is one that I think is really it's more geared around the idea of creating stuff. So you can, again, I've asked it here to chat away. I've had a bit of a conversation with it just to alter it, and I've created this bar chart question type. Again, slightly different in its look and feel. I need to chat with it further to get it perfectly accurate. That's great for kind of interactive stuff and everything. If you're in marketing or anything like that, then honestly, Lovable is brilliant for that. So if you've got an idea as to something you want to do on a stand, I was talking with a client about the spin the wheel. We're able to kind of create this interactive, very personalized, branded spin the wheel game for the client, and you could do that for your it could be an interactive on your website as part of marketing promotion, it could be an exhibition stands. It's just as a tool for making interactive content. It's really good. The final one I want to mention is Replit, and this is basically if you want to start creating apps yourself and deploy them as well. This is the Test Community Network that I'm working on at the moment, and I've been chatting away to create a new version of the Test Community Network. I've got administration levels in there. I've got organization. I've got been working up the kind of content side of things to go in here. So new kind of presentation method for the content, the players within here. So the ability to love, build your community. So these are all features I'm adding in to the new Test Community Network. So Replit is an awesome tool for doing that. It's more of a kind of coding tool. And again, you just chat with it. You ask it to change things. You ask it for new features, and it will build them in there. You can point at stuff and say, add this, remove that, change that. It's just great stuff. So just to summarize, if you are at that kind of very early stage of adopting AI within your organization, if you just in terms of your workforce potential, Notebook LM is a great space. If you've got any family members doing studying or anything like that, I would start there. And then in terms of which you would pick for your tech stack, Copilot, Gemini, it's going to be largely dependent on your organization's tech stack. I would certainly at this stage have a few different versions and licenses running and testing these things out and comparing notes on them and exploring ideas. And I'm more than happy to have a call with someone if you want to kind of explore these things in a little bit more detail. So I hope that was a kind of nice little snapshot for you. And I'll put that there. There won't be a show next week because it's the e-assessment conference. I might try and do a wrap up of it, but then we'll be back to kind of normal throughout June with more episodes. So I hope you found that useful. Take care, and I'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye.